Where the offices and the studio and the gallery are in One Castle Street, it's part of the historic quarter. We have part of the original Dublin walls in our office, which we've exposed. It was where there was the anarchist Garden of Delight, where they had a huge mural. We've exposed that. I found it when I was rooting through ceilings. It was owned then by a guy called Gordon Campbell, who bought it. He used to own the Gap and McCullough's. And I worked for him. He had a big wholesale place in Stephen's Green, so I was in there when I was 13. That's kind of where I learned that you have to work and wash the floors and clean the toilets yourself. He was very creative, and when I was, say, 13, he had a pinball machine in his house, so I got a one-arm bandit for the office. He was big into Sex Pistols art. He introduced me to Sid Vicious and the whole art school thing, and then I bought a lot of my own style based around what he would have taught me. Well, the background of ebow, I founded it in 1999. Always a big Prince fan, so I wanted to mark the occasion. And I was in Trinity studying computer science. After leaving Bolton Street, where I was doing property economics, so it was quite a change. I had a couple of colleagues at the time. One who was studying it with me came on board as well, and another guy I went to school with who was a graphic designer. And we started there. We got a sort of crappy little office, 50 quid a week, and took it from that. And then we got the opportunity to pitch to Budget Travel. Somebody recommended us to them, and to this day I have no idea who that was, but that totally changed everything. To create a good culture for staff, we put a lot of work into the environment, and a lot of that is the gallery and the styling of the place, and also we really concentrate very heavily on the idea of freedom of association, freedom of thought, which is a kind of Freudian mechanic where people should be able to say anything, and that includes being offensive, because you can't create an idea or really understand a product without looking at every single side of it. So we have a very, very open atmosphere. The space there and the gallery and the shows we've had and the parties we've had, and it's all worked very well, and it's proved the point that you can have a really open creative agency and get really strong clients like the National Transport Authority and the GAA and Orsa Nuclearon to interact with it. Why the music photography? Well, I'm big into connecting everything together. So from every book I read, I have taken some piece out of it to do with music. So if you go through all the books within the house, you'll see things underlined, and then I've connected the dots between the books and music and art. But it all, for me, starts at music. And my attitude to it is, before we were painting pictures of bisons on caves and buffaloes and spears, we were singing. That was first. So I would look at music as really the most important art form there is. So the gallery, I started the gallery, I was collecting pictures. One was of Dylan and Allen Ginsberg at Jack Kerouac's grave. Kerouac is one of my favorite authors. Dylan is like a sort of guiding light for me, and Allen Ginsberg wrote the poem Howl, which would be one of my favorite poems. And I bought that, and then a company opened in Ireland who started supplying it, and I got involved with them, and they were having difficulties, so we gave them the space, and then eventually I took it over myself and turned it into Gallery Number 1, and we did some very high profile shows with people like Ronnie Wood, Paddy Boyd, Garrett Mankiewicz, who was Jimi Hendrix's photographer, and Ken Regan, who was Dylan's photographer. I guess with the gallery, it was a labor of love. I can do that stuff with my eyes closed, and you know, it took over, unfortunately, so we had to pare it back because my own positioning as an individual and as a business person became a gallery owner. But my business is digital. So over the last 2 years, I've really pulled away from that, which is sad. I'd like to keep doing it, but the agency is the most important piece.